The world of hotel is a part of our cause as Palestinians. What we go through today is because people are misinformed about the Palestinians. I really encourage people to look deeper on what's going on and to remember that Palestinians are humans too.
There's not many situations in which we'd actively try to put together a podcast on behalf of a hotel, but the Waldorf Hotel isn't exactly your average bed for the night, and its manager, Wisam Salsaa, isn't exactly your average manager. But today on Radio Juxtapoz, Evan Preco joins Wisam for a candid conversation on opening and running a hotel in the occupied West Bank with a boss who just so happens to be one of the most enigmatic figures in the modern art world. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Radio Juxtapoz. My name is Doug Gillen, and today we shine a light on what might be one of the most important art projects of the 21st century. Though I'm not sure if you even call this an art project.
Welcome to the piano bar of the Waldorf Hotel, just a few yards from the Israeli separation wall. Now, not only is this an astonishingly posh boutique hotel, but it's an intervention into one of the poorest parts of a would-be Palestinian state.
Back in 2017, news broke that the British artist Banksy had opened up a fully functioning hotel in the heart of one of the most politically sensitive regions in the world. Many of us thought he had finally lost his mind. I mean, how could this ever work? But sure enough, the Banksy brand did what nobody has done in roughly 2,000 years. It made Bethlehem, Palestine a tourism destination. But beyond what could have very easily been a vanity project was the use of Banksy's popularity to create a space for art lovers and curious tourists from all over the world to visit a region most would only ever hear about in the news. And on these trips, they would be given a chance to create their own experiences, to learn about the region, to meet people, and to drink coffee or a beer whilst looking up at one of the most conceptually and physically divisive structures in the world.
Since the Israeli government ordered the building of the separation wall in 2002, the wall has blocked the town's main road, limiting access to people and products. Hundreds of shops have closed their doors and thousands of townspeople have left.
The West Bank Barrier, or Separation Wall, is a 708-kilometre physical border separating the West Bank from Israel. The section running through Bethlehem by the hotel is a 30-foot-high concrete facade with regular watchtowers patrolled with armed guards. And since the early 2000s, the structure itself has become something of a focal point of a different kind of pilgrimage for graffiti and street art enthusiasts. With Palestine seeing one of the biggest increases in tourism in the world, the Waldorf Hotel had managed to establish itself firmly in an unpredictable environment. That was until October the 7th, 2023.
Israel caught off guard after the largest and deadliest escalation of violence in decades. Tonight, rockets and airstrikes continue to rain down on Israel and Gaza after a day of shock, death, and destruction.
Following the attacks by Hamas on October the 7th, in which it's believed roughly 1,160 Israelis were killed, the hotel immediately issued a statement saying that it had closed due to developments in the region and hasn't since opened for bookings. And today, as we're speaking with born and bred Bethlehem resident Wisam Salsaa, we're overshadowed by this context of the wider world. At the time of recording, roughly 130 of the 253 Israeli hostages still remain captive by Hamas. The ongoing military retaliation from the Israeli government has since killed 34,000 people in Gaza and displaced almost 2 million from an area that was already being described as an open-air prison. Though the West Bank and Gaza are 100 miles apart from each other, the rise in extreme settler violence and military raids threaten to destabilise the relative peace in the region. And it's here that we meet Wisam today, to hear firsthand about his experiences working with the big man, the challenges he faced growing up in Bethlehem, and to hear how art has impacted the community in this special part of the world. Let's get into it right here on Radio Juxtapoz with Evan Preco in conversation with Wisam Salsaa.
Well, Wisam, it's so nice to have you on this podcast. I know this isn't necessarily the best circumstances. I wish we could have talked at a different time, but here we are. Maybe for just the best thing first is just introduce yourself and say what you are the manager of so people can know what it is that...
All right. So, Wisam Salsaa is my name, and I'm from Bethlehem. And I'm the manager of the Waldorf Hotel in Bethlehem, that the hotel that Banksy created, done in year 2017. I was born there. I lived there. Yeah, it's like everything for me is in Bethlehem.
Yeah. I imagine like the last 7 months have been just, I don't want to say like a whirlwind. I think maybe has it been just an absolutely confusing 7 months for you? Like how can you maybe, I know we're going to talk about the hotel, we're going to talk about all the stuff about Palestinian culture and art, but just for you personally, like how has the last 7 months been for you and for your family?
Well, I mean, the last 7 months are 7 months of real war in our region. Even the war is not in Bethlehem, where I am from, but Bethlehem and the West Bank and all of the area being affected by that war. For those who've been to Bethlehem, they realize, they know that Bethlehem, even before the war, was not really a normal place to live in, because Bethlehem is an open-air prison. It's surrounded by the separation wall that Israel built around our cities, surrounded by illegal settlements, fence, and bypass roads. So life is not normal. And with the war, things became more complicated, more confusing, and more restriction in movement that already existed, but now it's more even restriction in movement. With, of course, no business almost at all, because most of the people that live in Bethlehem depends on tourism for living. And when we talk about tourism, we talk about mainly like international tourists who come and visit Bethlehem and the area. So Bethlehem today and Palestine today is almost like Bethlehem is a dead city. It's a very, very quiet and very sad.
This might seem like a little bit of a naive question, but I think it might be helpful for a lot of our listeners. But when did you become aware as a young man that where you lived was in this precarious position of being an open air prison? Like, do you remember like kind of your youth and maybe growing up in this situation and becoming quite aware that where you were living was maybe not normal?
I'll tell you what, I was born under the occupation. I remember it very well that always my father and his friends and my uncles, when they met together, they were always talking about war, expecting a war to happen, and talking about the previous wars that were happening. When I was a child, maybe 5-6 years old, I remember that I've been many times scared because of the gunshots around us. And I also remember very well that for a long time the fighters used to break the sound barrier and make this huge explosions where we are. So, I mean, that was so common. Just recently they stopped doing that. And that was so scary for us. So I think anyone that live in Palestine, children today in Palestine, even at our time as well, from early age, you start to realize that you don't live a normal life and you live different than others.
I was talking to some of the people who worked on the hotel this weekend, and then obviously talking to you, but I know that you worked in tourism for a long time. What were people who were visiting Bethlehem wanting to see when you first started maybe working in kind of giving guided tours to people? Like what were people coming for, and what were people expecting to see, and what did they see?
Now, tourism in our country is merely religious tourism. Most people
Right.
that come to Palestine, Israel, they come to the Holy Land. So most of our visitors are Christians from all over the world, from different backgrounds as well. What made me into this business, that once I've read that the war minister of Israel, Moshe Dayan, he was the war minister, or they call him the defense minister of Israel, in 1967, after Israel occupied the West Bank. He said that I'm willing to train Palestinians to become pilots, but not to give them license to become tour guides. Because, simply they did not want Palestinians to be exposed to the rest of the world. So it's about controlling media and also drawing the image of the Palestinians on the way that they want to. So even till today, we are in the 21st century, and some places around the world, if you say Palestinian, people will connect to terrorism and violence and so on. People don't see us as normal people. This is, I think, one of the major problems that we have as Palestinians, that people, like media, like they know about Palestinians through media. So this is what provoked me and kind of encouraged me to get into that field and to get into tourism business. So most of the people that come to the Holy Land or to Bethlehem, most of them, I would say, at least 95% are people who come to see the birthplace of Jesus, and they want to see some of the historical sites. So those people are not even interested to learn anything about Palestine and the Palestinians. And even till today, lots of those people, they just come for Jesus, and they don't really worry about the other side of the story or what's
Right.
going on. I'm not even sure. For example, today the wall is obvious. When I started tourism, there was no wall. The separation wall started to be built in 2003. So, but even today with a wall, I'm not sure how many of the pilgrims that come to visit us even question what is this weird structure in the middle of Bethlehem.
Well, this is what's fascinating to me here is that Bethlehem's kind of the epicenter of multiple religious sort of lots of religions kind of collide in Bethlehem. So when people come to Bethlehem and they are looking into the history of Jesus, but I'm wondering if when you were taking people around, if they were able to at least see some of the art and culture that the Palestinian people had been celebrating even under occupation.
For a long time, tourism was controlled by the Israelis, and for a long time we were not even allowed to build hotels or to have permits to build hotels in Bethlehem. Most of the hotels were built in Bethlehem after 1996 and 97, and mainly I would say after year 2000, there were more investments in hotels. The tourism industry, as I said, it's controlled by Israelis, so most of the tour guides are Israeli tour guides who would bring their tourists to Bethlehem, just to the church, with lots of warnings that they should be careful. Okay, we go to the church and we leave. And this is what was happening for decades, that people did not really spend time in Bethlehem. And most of things, there were no tourism activities in Bethlehem, so there were not really even any investments on the tourism fields in Bethlehem. So it's, and even when you talk about art, the art tours did not start until Banksy came to Bethlehem, to be honest with you. Even our graffiti or street art was really a little bit different than what it is today. Before year 2000, there was nothing but just these classical tours that would focus
Right.
on the Church of the Nativity, and almost that's it.
So what was your expertise when you gave people tours before the hotel opened?
From the beginning, like when I started in tour, like when I got involved in tourism, which was in 1996, so it's almost 28 years ago.
Right.
My intention was to give the opportunity for the visitors that come to the Holy Land to meet with Palestinians and to encounter with Palestinians. So I've been doing always a different type of tourism. So we created lots of different itineraries, and we encouraged people to do different things than what they usually do. And we got some good responses from some churches and some friends around the world, and this is what made us survive. Talk about different type of tourism, like always done it, but when Banksy came to Bethlehem the first time in 2005 and did his work on the separation wall, this is when I started to notice that lots of people started to come just to look at his artwork, and then everyone that I took to see his artwork were so excited, and they were so thankful to have such a tour.
So
I mean, it started with a graffiti on the wall, and then like we started to expand.
I mean, this is what, we're all kind of leading up to the opening of the hotel, and maybe in the risk that was involved in opening up the hotel, or just the kind of the amazing audacity to open up the hotel. Let's go back to 2005, because I think this is such a pivotal part, obviously, of the history of Banksy's career in general. Let's go back to that time and say, how risky was it for him to do what he was doing at that time, where he was doing it? Was that unheard of?
Well, when Banksy came in 2005, the situation were not really right at all. I mean, it was still unstable, lots of violence, and it was really dangerous to be in many places. Even where he painted on the wall, it was not even safe, because they were constructing the wall, and there were always guards. They are working to protect the workers, and they would let people like locals or people close to. I mean, if they would see someone on a ladder on a wall, they may shoot or arrest. I mean, I remember that we had like a couple of like occasions where we were in real danger when Banksy was doing the wall. I mean, one of them was at Kalandia checkpoint, the way to Ramallah, and I remember that they were shooting and tear gas, and he kept working on that mural of two kids knocking down the wall, and and another story of him doing the girl with the balloon. Also, there were guards, and but I think he was not that much aware of the danger. I don't know. It just happened. So
you're saying it with a smile on your face. So I assume that like this, it must have been a really exciting time to see it happen, because you have a smile on your face. There's got to be some sort of like good memory with this, even though what you're describing is there was violence around.
I mean, to be honest with you, I would like, when I met him the first time, I didn't know who he is. So I was dealing with him just like someone artist. I mean, if it's today, I tell him, no, we need you. We want you. Don't go there. Besides that, like for us as Palestinians, we kind of used to see violence and demonstrations and to hear shooting close to us. And we always think that it is like tourists and Westerns. If you don't look Palestinian, the chance of being harassed or is less than for us, okay? Right. Because we think that the Israeli army does not want to. They are not interested to harass or to shoot at a tourist. It's not their interest. They don't want to create any problem with any other country. Like for me, it was interesting to see a tourist being in the midst of danger. I mean, for me, I don't care. And I just and also like I was thinking that he does not really understand the danger that could come out of it. But, it just happened, and it went well.
How were you the one to be, like, how did you become the person who was maybe helping in 2005? Like, how did you know that this was happening, and maybe give a little background of how maybe you became the host of a graffiti artist from the UK coming to Bethlehem to paint?
Yeah, I mean, I was, as I told you, that it was my job. I mean, I was doing different type of tours. So most of my clients were not really those holy mass or church clients. They would be doing different things. So this is like how Banksy knew about me. Yep. And as I told you that I did not know that was Banksy. I mean, I did not have many options to do business with because tourism was almost dead. I mean, no people come to Palestine. And he was the only client at the time. So
and you were the guy. You were the guy. He was the only tour. Like, so it was serendipitous.
Yeah, of course. And to be honest with you as well, that for us, because we were so stressed, and like between the year 2000 till 2006, 2007, things were really bad in Palestine. I think worse than today in many levels. I mean, there were, for example, on my town, there was almost daily shelling on my town. Every night there would be explosions and shelling on my town. Like when we used to see some tourists coming from the West, they would bring some hope for us. They would bring different perspectives for us. It's really interesting how would we feel when we deal with normal people, because we live an abnormal life, and everything around us is not normal. And then when you have normal human being dealing with you, it's really a pleasant feeling. So you could kind of reconnect with life and reconnect with lots of things.
And then, like, what's even more not normal, I assume, is that you probably started having tourists come to want to see Banksy's work on the wall, like this graffiti on the wall.
Yep.
That must also have been kind of an amazing turn of events, that people were now doing street art graffiti tourism in Bethlehem. Like that must have been just absolutely, was that expected, or is that a completely unexpected part of this journey?
To be honest with you, I mean, I have no connection with graffiti art ever in my life before I met with Banksy.
Right.
Even when he was doing his work and after he left, I did not, I mean, I thought that what he'd done is cool and very interesting, but I did not take him seriously because I still did not know who was he. Like maybe it took me a couple of months to know.
Well, he wasn't as, let's be honest, he wasn't as big as he is now at that time. He was still, it wasn't, street art and graffiti wasn't as worldwide. And
yes, but I mean, I did not hear the word Banksy before.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like he did not tell me that he's Banksy. I just know who he is. So, so it took me like 2 months. And this is when I started to think of, oh my God, like I was really astonished with the result of it. I was really impressed with the result of it. I worked so hard to reconnect with him. And I met him in 2007 in the UK. And I told him that I explained to him how much impact his artwork made on like for Bethlehem, and how much people are interested in his artwork, and how much it's not just the artwork, it's like his artwork is what helped the story of the wall to come back to the media.
Right.
to be back and back and back and back. Because, media talked about the separation wall when Israel built the wall. And then after that, it's an old story. So his artwork kind of kept bringing the story back to the media or urged people to think about it and to talk about it and to discuss it and so on. So this is the power of art, power of his art and power of art. So, I met him again and I told him, this time I was thinking more into not just the wall, but more into what I was doing and more of Bethlehem. So I told him, you should come back to Bethlehem. I explained to him that if he comes to Bethlehem, and this time if he paint in Bethlehem itself, as people go and look at his graffiti around the wall, they would come to Bethlehem and they will walk in the streets of Bethlehem, because for a long time, always tourists came in their buses, go to the church and left. Like rarely you would see tourists walking in Bethlehem, because all of the warnings I explained to you that they would receive from their Israeli tour guides that it's not safe to Bethlehem, those are wild people. So Banksy's response was, I don't know. He was not sure. He did not give me any word about it. He said, okay, I'll see. And called me after a while and said, okay, I'm coming to Bethlehem. He returned to Bethlehem in 2007 and done lots of interesting artwork in Bethlehem. And after he left, also he helped many artists to come over and paint on the wall. He did a big campaign. That was Santa's Ghettos thing that was really amazing. And that year in 2007, Christmas 2007, I always say that there were more Banksy tourists in Bethlehem than Jesus tourists. That's incredible.
That is, I'm laughing because that's there was that really famous line that John Lennon said the Beatles were bigger than Jesus Christ, and he got in a lot of trouble for that. But for one Christmas, Banksy was bigger than Jesus in Bethlehem.
Yeah. That's the truth.
What did Palestinian residents in the West Bank and Bethlehem think of these UK and Western artists coming in and painting? Was there an excitement? Were people excited, or were they a little skeptical? Did you have to do some convincing to people that everything was okay?
We live in a serious situation. We don't live in a normal life, yes. And people are so sensitive for lots of issues and for lots of things. The way that they look at art is different than the way that you would look at in the States or in the West. For people in Palestine, priority is how to make a living, how to secure their kids and secure their future. People still think of basic needs, okay? So art is something different. For lots of people, they thought that his art is interesting, of course, but also some of his paintings, especially once one of his paintings were misunderstood. And that was during Santa's Ghetto thing, when he painted an Israeli soldier checking the papers of a donkey, and this is based on a true story. Okay, this painting is based on a true story that I told them, a story of a man that happened in front of me, where he was like a farmer and was crossing the checkpoint with his donkey. The soldier was harassing the farmer, and he asked him, "I need to see the papers of the donkey." So this was misinterpreted by some Palestinians, because it's very simple thinking. They did not know the story. I'm sure they've heard lots of such stories, but they did not connect with. Some people thought, they started to say that Banksy is describing Palestinians as donkeys. That, of course, this is not the truth. This is not the story. But generally speaking, I mean, his paintings became very popular in Palestine, and today his paintings are protected by the Palestinian Authority, and they are considered to be as like it's a heritage, or it's like it's protected by the municipality. Yeah.
What is, in your mind, like traditional Palestinian art? Like, what would be the art that you grew up around? What would it be?
Palestinian art has been always the art of resistance. Usually, like artists, they reflect their experience and their feelings into their artwork. And what we see most of the time is something related to resistance. Here, I'm not talking about violent resistance. I'm talking about the non-violent resistance, the love of the land, the patience, to be rooted in your land. So you see often the olive tree, which represents the deep roots in the land. You see the cactus, which reflects or tells the story of the refugees. You always see the key as well, which is the symbolic of the Palestinian refugees. I mean, there are certain symbols that you always encounter in the Palestinian art. It goes more, like, from my point of view, more into classical art. I mean, things have changed, of course, but nowadays, I mean, you see variety of art, but still, like, lots of Palestinian art has this identity that connects with resistance and the existence. Even like graffiti, like Palestinian graffiti was been always different than graffiti that you would see in the West. The Palestinian graffiti was always also related to resistance, but something like graffiti in Palestine was used to give messages for the public about activities or events that coming up, because we did not have control of any type of media, radio, TV, or papers or anything. Everything was illegal for us to use. So young men used to paint on in the walls in the streets to raise awareness or to tell people about something or to reflect a certain idea through it. And this was illegal. Like, many people got killed even to do graffiti in Palestine.
I really like the way that you talked about the fact that it's the art of resistance, but it's also about the appreciation of land, the appreciation of place, the kind of survival of place. We're talking to the manager of the Waldorf Hotel, and we haven't even talked about the hotel. And I want to know why a hotel, how a hotel, maybe the kind of early days of planning to build the Waldorf Hotel next to the wall. How did that come about?
Well, I mean, it was, it was like a long relation. It's, I think, a result of a long relation with Banksy. And to be honest, like, I always thought that we should do something permanent in Bethlehem, because it's not just to display his art. I mean, it's not only a venue when you could look at Banksy's art, because you could see Banksy's art anywhere and everywhere. But for us is to raise the awareness, to give the opportunity for the visitors that come to Bethlehem, to the Holy Land, whatever their background is, Christians, Muslims, Jews, whatever, to come and learn about what's going on, to learn the other side of the story, or our story, which is the unheard story. We talked about it, and then he asked me to find a location, and this was the big challenge, to find a location. And personally, I believe it was a miracle. I mean, like, to find that building only 15 feet away from the separation wall, like 4 meters away from the separation wall, not used. It was a residential building. The lower part was a commercial building. So the building was not used. I mean, it was ready for us. I mean, the best location ever. You cannot miss it when you come from Jerusalem to Bethlehem through that main gate that is really created. So I believe it's a miracle. I believe it's a divine intervention. I don't know, but I believe it's a miracle. And also, I think there were also some factors. Everything worked well. That, like my wife is an architect, and she does interior design. So when we decided to do the project, it's between me and Banksy, of course, and my wife, who would deal with all of the plans and make speeches for him and keep changing without the for him being exposed to any stranger, just to keep things low profile. It was really a journey of, I call it journey of agony. It was really tough 14 months, like some of the toughest months in our life, because we were so, excited for this project to come up, but it was so complicated as well with its details, and also like lots of challenges. And we realized that if the project is exposed, okay, it may not happen. So we have to keep everything secret. We live in a small town, people know us, so right. People were not sure. They were curious what we are doing, and I have to keep lying and creating stories, telling people different stories. And my brother would come and tell me, "Oh, you're crazy! Why you are doing a hotel here? Are you in your mind?" And I have just to keep up making stories. We have. Like everyone came and gave us the advice, even once an Israeli soldier, been always Israeli soldiers in our area. It's always, so once an Israeli officer, he asked me if this is my project. I said yes. And he started to give me advices not to do a hotel here because he was worried that I would. And so it was crazy. We've done everything. Everything went smoothly. And even when he came over, I locked him in because I called the hotel as well the prison of Banksy, because he was in there for a while and I did not let him out because I was worried that, someone would see him. Or
it may have seemed insensitive that I went from you talking about violence happening towards Palestinians who were doing graffiti or writing on walls to the hotel. But what you're doing, were you able to, in an occupied land, how were you able to keep it such a secret because of how policed the area was? I assume there was some very close moments to something happening.
Well, to be honest, I don't know, things just worked. Okay. We put lots of efforts, lots of details that... We put lots of efforts, to keep it secret. And I think what helped that, I worked in tourism as well. So people also used to see me with foreigners. And I was building different scenarios, different stories. Even I got a hotel permit for the hotel from the Minister of Tourism without the Minister of Tourism knowing what's going on. So that was when we opened the Minister of Tourism, the Minister of Tourism was surprised to see that hotel. And she said, how did we give you a permit or a license before even we know that this is going on? So it was an interesting project, and today it's something major in Bethlehem.
What did you want people to get from the hotel when you first started working on it?
The hotel is not. When we say Waldorf Hotel, is not really a hotel. It's a small guest house. We have only 9 bedrooms. What we do there, we have a museum that everyone can go to. It takes about 40 minutes, an hour to go through that museum. And that museum explains to you about life under occupation in Palestine. So simply, when you go through our museum, you would read lots of facts and stories documented, and you would understand how we live, because you will never understand how we live if you don't come and live with us. Mm-hmm. But through that museum, which is a very professional museum, you would understand lots of things. So it's an eye-opening for lots of people. Even it's an eye-opening for Israelis. We have sometimes we have Israelis coming to the museum, And even Israelis themselves, who are our neighbors living on the other side of the wall, they don't understand how we live because of their government and because of their occupation. Because even we are neighbors, there's a big gap in information and knowledge. It's a very interesting experience to go through the museum. Even the Palestinians, when they come to the museum, I think most of Palestinians come out crying because even we live it. But when you put for us everything together and you use your feeling, because you as Palestinian could connect with lots of things that you would see. Like as a stranger, you would, like as a tourist, you would, for example, hear about, like you would read about checkpoints, but you never had the experience of the checkpoint. But when Palestinians go through and they would read about checkpoints and home demolishing and uprooting trees, it's all their life that the things happen to them. So most of them, they will come out even crying. Of course, the idea is not to make people cry, but I'll tell you again, Palestinians are the ones who cry because they connect really with that place. I mean, to go through the hotel is not just, as I said, like lots of Banksy's artwork. The whole venue is an art piece, but we also have an exhibition for Palestinian artists and lots of Palestinian art as well. So we have lots of things for people to see. Besides, we serve very good coffee and nice pizza, and we have also cocktail bar, very nice bar. You can come and drink a local beer and wine at the Waldorf Hotel. It's a pleasant stay.
How did the experience of the hotel change for you once it was open? Were there things that started to were you becoming aware of different parts of the history as the hotel was open and as you saw visitors experiencing the hotel? What changed for you in your own personal experience?
For me, the hotel, I never looked at this hotel as just a project to happen and to go. I believed in the message that this hotel would give to the world. I believe that this hotel would be, the voice for Palestinians, especially with all of the impact that Banksy put in it, and the team that also helped in doing it, especially with the museum. Even for me, I did not expect this venue to come up with such a way. I mean, it's so beautiful, it's so interesting, and very, very powerful. I mean, everything came up in a very strong way. That, the next level of working at this hotel is to maintain it. Because as soon as we opened, of course, there are lots of Banksy fans who love the place, but it's located in the middle of a conflict, as you just mentioned earlier, that we have Israelis who would not like it. And also, I was surprised that some of the Palestinians, they did not like it.
Why was that?
I didn't understand.
Okay.
They were talking about normalization with the wall. I didn't understand that. And there were lots of articles and criticism. And I mean, oh my God, what's going on? I'm very sure of every detail of this place. Everything is about Palestine, the Palestinians. But one of the things that also Banksy did outside, that he created a graffiti shop outside the hotel called Walmart. And this was about not your Walmart in the States, that it was about selling spray paint and making stencils to paint on the wall. And that kind of, some people were saying, you are decorating the wall, you make the wall looks more beautiful. I mean, this argument makes no sense to me. I never understood them. But anyway, this is what people would say. So anyway, it's a kind of a weird place. I mean, it was a big surprise for the Palestinians. And of course, you could not bring all people to come and look at the hotel. Even the location of the hotel is not a pleasant location for lots of Palestinians, because It's nearby the soldiers, the Israeli soldiers. Most people don't want to be there. They don't want to be stopped by getting harassed by like in a checkpoint or so. So anyway, it's so for me, my job became not to, I mean, to manage the hotel is not a problem, but to put this hotel and to keep it in a better, like in a, you know, in a good position to keep, I mean, to let it grow and to be more respected, especially by Palestinians, because I believe that if the Palestinians don't like it, I have a problem, because, I mean, you cannot be a strange body in your own town. Yeah? Right. You have to be something that people would like.
Right.
And also, like for the Israelis, you know, it was very important. I mean, for me, from the beginning, I thought that, yes, Israelis should come and, you know, visit the hotel. I mean, visit and like pay us entrance fees and come and see it as a client.
Right.
Because, you know, as I said, I mean, one of major problems that we have that, you know, like Israelis don't know who the Palestinians are. Like today, right. the Israelis, like with what's going on in Gaza today, like Israelis are, like lots of Israeli settlers are attacking Palestinians everywhere. They don't, like most of Israelis, I think, that they don't look at us as human beings. This is related to knowledge and understanding. And the hotel is a very important venue in dismantling this bad image about Palestinians among internationals and Israelis, because that gives really great understanding for who are the Palestinians. I mean, when people come, you just don't come to visit a museum. We have about 45 people working there, okay, and those people are around you. You will interact with them, you will see them, you'll talk to them, so that makes your experience even better and different. So this was my, you know, this, like, I was so worried, especially in the first year, that this project would not work out, okay, but today I think that the Waldorf Hotel is a part of Bethlehem. It's a monument, a part of Bethlehem, a part of Palestine. It's in the tourism itineraries for most of the people that come to Bethlehem. Even Christian pilgrims, when they come to Bethlehem, lots of them come to the Waldorf Hotel as the first, like as a place to visit next to the Church of the Nativity. And also, I see that lots of groups started to ask for to come to the Waldorf Hotel. You know, like almost all of the groups go to visit the Holocaust Museum in Israel. Okay. Some groups started also to ask to go and see the Waldorf Hotel in Bethlehem, because, you know, there's something else. Like there are other stories to be told and to be shared with the world, and things to be remembered.
One of the things that Juxtapoz has always championed is, you know, the exposure of art to people who otherwise do not get to have art in their daily lives. And I'm wondering if the hotel, and you felt like the hotel maybe got young Palestinians thinking about making art in a way that they didn't think about before.
Yes, I tell you what, after we opened the hotel, lots of art shops opened on the way. We do also, like at the hotel, we do special tours like twice a day, a tour in our neighborhood, and like visit at the refugee camp. So at the refugee camp, there are lots of people who started to make art and sell for the tourists that come to the refugee camp. Besides that, as I said earlier, that we have also a gallery for just for Palestinian artists, and we do lots of activities with Palestinian artists, exhibitions, and also we do lots of work with younger artists, like emerging artists from all over Palestine. We do also art competitions, so that became, like, Waldorf Hotel became a major ground for Palestinian artists to display their artwork. You know, in Palestine, we have less opportunities than anywhere else in the world. Palestinian art is not exposed, unfortunately. It's not. It's very difficult for Palestinian artists to share their artwork, even not to sell it, but to share their artwork with public, because we don't have art galleries. Like most of the cities, unfortunately, in Palestine do not have art galleries at all. So they, like, you see, like some of great skills in Palestine, art skill, like artistic skills, but those people are not sponsored and they cannot even improve. Or so like a venue like the Waldorf Hotel give really a great push for lots of artists, even like well-established artists as well as younger artists.
As a conflict continues to happen, as the hotel, I assume right now is not open, what are some ways that people who are listening to this podcast can support Palestinian artists, if there's any way that we can?
I mean, it's a very difficult question, yes. Okay, for the Waldorf Hotel, we are planning to put some of the local artwork on our website. Hopefully it will be also available for sales. So if people are interested, they can purchase some very nice local art by Palestinian artists. I mean, to support Palestine and the Palestinians, I mean, there are lots of good international humanitarian organizations that you cannot miss if you search for them online. I mean, I don't have any preference to recommend this moment, but I mean, there are lots of great humanitarian organizations that people can support to help the Palestinians. But also, like, one of the things that I really encourage people to do is, like, I always want people to do is not just to hear about us. We want people to come and visit us, to come and to visit Palestine, to visit the Waldorf Hotel, to have a different tour. So even for those people who are like not interested in art, I mean, even if you are Christian in the United States and you want to come to the Holy Land, maybe you consider or you request from your pastor or church leader or group leader to spend 1 hour with us at the Waldorf Hotel. It's important. Okay, it's worth it. Yeah, and if people want to do more, they can always contact me, contact the Waldorf Hotel for itineraries for individuals and for groups as well, because through our business partners, we could organize tours not only in Palestine but also in Israel, so people can have a full tour tailor-made in Palestine, Israel, but of course it will give them more opportunity to see things that they will not see in the normal tours. Again, does not have to be, I mean, it could be a pilgrimage, but with additions, a special touch that would make the tour different.
Is there anything we haven't touched on that you feel is important to mention in this conversation? Because, you know, like, as I said, this is going to go out to many people who are so curious about the hotel, but also about the West Bank and Bethlehem. Is there anything that you want to mention that we can throw in here to make sure that people understand the context of this conversation?
You know, the Waldorf Hotel is a part of our cause as Palestinians, and I believe that what we go through today is caused by because people are misinformed about the Palestinians. I really encouraged people to look deeper on what's going on and to remember that Palestinians are humans too. And we are not free, and what we are seeking for is our freedom. We are normal people like everyone else. We dream that one day we will become free and our children can have a safe life, because we always grow up and our children are living in an unsafe environment. This is a reality. Hopefully people can look at look at the other side of the story, not on one side, because unfortunately people don't hear much about us. When they hear of Palestinians, they would hear only about violence, and this is not who we are. Palestine is a very safe place, okay? It's a very, very safe place. It's a very pleasant place. Even today with the war, I think it's safer than many other places around the world. I'm not talking about Gaza, I'm talking about the West Bank, of course.
Right.
So I encourage people to come to Palestine and think of Palestine. Thank you.
There's a weird situation in which even just interviewing someone from Palestine feels like a political act. And maybe it is. All I can say is that we've always wanted to use Radio Juxtapoz as a platform just to hear people's opinions, to open up and hold space for different experiences. And in a situation that continues to see the relentless dehumanization and has an escalating death toll, I know I'm not alone in thinking that peace needs to be more than some abstract concept for a region now so embedded in death. If you did enjoy this episode, please let us know, share it far and wide, support Wisam and the Waldorf Hotel, get vocal, get active. We will be back with you really soon. Till that moment comes, take care of yourselves and each other.